Live in the studio, and we are looking at 10 principles of good assessment by David Nichol. Okay, this is my team, guys, and this is our list. And in introduction, effective assessment and feedback are essential component of teaching and learning process. They facilitate student growth, inform instructional decision, and assessment ensure accountability, and it prepare learners for success in the real world, because we want certain skill sets in industry, and that's what we are trying to do as we teach our learners. And Lehonolo, Hlonizo 10.
Good day, everyone. It's Lehonolo here, representing principle number 1. The principle that assessment should have a clear purpose, emphasizing the need for educators to define the goals and objectives of the assessment clearly. A clear purpose ensures that assessment align with the intended learning outcomes and objectives of the educational program. Informs how educators design their instructional strategies. Set clear expectations for both educators and students. Educators know what they need to evaluate, and students understand what is expected of them, reducing confusion and anxiety. Now, under principle number 2 here, we have assessment criteria should be explicit. Assessment standard must be as specific as feasible to be useful. Student can realize what is significant and valued in the curriculum when assessment criteria are transparent and ambiguous. Once that is done, individuals can concentrate their attention on the most important learning objectives and analyze their own performance through self-evaluation and reflection. Now I'll move on to slide number 3 to give it to the next colleague.
Thank you very much, Hloni. I will be doing principle number 3, which is that assessment should support and enhance the learning process. Research has shown that students who can take a deep approach to prepare for their tests, regardless of how difficult the assessment may be. In other words, students can go beyond surface level memorizing and actively engaging with their material. This deep approach involves understanding concepts, making connections, and applying knowledge in context. Assessment is a very critical part of the learning process, providing students with valuable feedback that can help them improve their performance. However, assessment also has a potential to support and enhance learning if it is used effectively. It can provide students with clear understanding of their strengths and weaknesses, and it can help them focus their efforts on areas that need improvement. It can also help the teachers to identify areas where students are struggling and provide them with the targeted support. When it's done effectively, assessment can be powerful for promoting and enhancing learning. However, it is very important to ensure that assessment is used in a way that is fair, valid, and reliable, and it takes into account the individual needs of the students. Finally, we can say that assessment or assessment data can be used to inform instructional decisions and target interventions. It is a powerful tool that can be used to support students in the classroom and beyond that. Thank you.
Hora, take over. Okay, AI has changed the game of assessment. You've seen assessment providing timely feedback, personalizing learning path, and also the use of gamification, where students are just excited as they are working and trying to learn. We're waiting for Hora in that note. Hora.
I think Flora is in the lobby. Can you please just assist with that?
No, she's not in the lobby. She's inside, but I think she's struggling with her mic. Khonga. Okay, in the meantime, we'll skip Khonga and go to Fifi. Peer assessment and self-assessment are important tools in assessment today in teaching and learning, and we've seen them as alternative ways of assessing. Fifi, what's your take on that one?
Thank you. Principle 5 emphasizes on the importance of incorporating peer and self-assessment within the educational framework. Instead of focusing on the students themselves and their attributes, the feedback emphasizes the students' performances, their learning and behaviors that are within their control. Self-efficacy is significant because it positively predicts academic accomplishment and it is linked to a deeper approach to learning, all of which are significantly correlated with the effort and persistence with task. I will also be sharing significances regarding peer and self-assessment principle. First one will be focusing on performance and behavior. Instead of solely concentrating on student individuals, attributes of their students, this principle places emphasis on the feedback related to the student's performance, as well as peer assessment's role. Peer assessment is a component of this principle. It involves students evaluating their own work and work of their peers. It fosters a sense of responsibility and provides an opportunity for students to learn through assessing others' work and as well as reflecting on their own. Thank you.
Okay, the next principle of assessment is diverse assessment methods. Boniwe, are you available?
It's me, Felicity.
Okay, please take over.
Thank you, Ms. Facilitator. I'm gonna present about diverse assessment methods, which is principle 6. Even though principle 5 mentions that self-efficacy positively predicts academic accomplishments, course units such as personalized system of instruction can enhance the student's performance through teaching strategies that prioritize giving students instant feedback at every level of their progress. This means that for students to pay attention to more learning or obtain additional support, it is very important that feedback is provided to them while it still matters to them. I thank you.
Thank you for that, Awesome CD. That was diverse methods, and we've seen AI changing the game of that. Now let's look at formative assessment. That is our form of now allowing continuous assessment, and we've seen students being given an opportunity to improve until the learning objectives are achieved. On this stage, we're looking for Boniwe. Boniwe, are you able to take over? Guys, Boniwe still have the same problem. She can't come in, but then formative assessment, it's an integrative formative assessment into learning process, and clear learning goals and objectives are needed in this, and student involvement and engagement is an important thing in this, because we've seen using approaches such as active learning in order to ensure that students are actively involved in creating their new knowledge. And ongoing feedback, it's the measure of success in this. We assess and reassess in order to see that students are improving and they are achieving the learning outcomes. And can we look at the next principle, which is principle number 8? Selby, are you there?
Yes, Amir. Thank you for affording me a chance to present this principle. Peer feedback is considered to be one of the valuable principle of good assessment in education for several reasons. It promotes active learning, whereby when students provide feedback to their peers, they engage critically with the material and the criteria for assessment, and this helps them to actually better understand um, the subject matter, and also it also reduces the element of biasness. For example, maybe in a situation where the lecturer might have like maybe not a good relationship with a student, when you have other peers in the same setting or in the same classroom giving feedback regarding other people's work, different perspectives are being considered, which helps the process of assessment and reduces the risk of biasness from the instructor or from the lecturer. And overall, I could say that peer feedback, it's actually effective, and it's one of the powerful tool in assessment that not only helps the student to improve their work, but it also fosters the culture of collaboration and active learning in the classroom. I thank you.
Thank you so much. On that note, we go and look at authentic assessment. Though the peer feedback was saying too much to our group, we don't have time, but we really look at the authentic assessment. Mr. Msala?
Okay, yes. Again, it's me. You can just put on my slide there so I can present the principle number 9. Assessment authenticity. It ensures assessments are authentic and relevant, is to ensure that all assessments that we give to students are relevant. Now, under authenticity, we can just say that authentic assessment in education mimic the real world situation and tasks. And then the relevance is that assessments must be directly tied to the learning objectives and goals of the curriculum. When assessments are relevant, the students can see the connection between what they are learning and how it applies to their future of real world. For argument's sake, everything that you teach engineering students, for argument's sake, they should be able to apply it in the real world because their course or maybe their subjects are more practical than other subjects. Now, also the assessment must be fair. Authentic and relevant assessments reduce the potential for bias and discrimination in evaluation. Just like the previous speaker here said that the lecturer shouldn't be biased or discriminate against other students and stuff like that. So it means that when you as a lecturer or as an educator assess your students, you need to ensure that you are not discriminating against anyone. So everything must be fair. I'll give it on to the next speaker.
Okay, thank you for that. And assessment and student engagement, they go hand in glove. Active learning, we've seen the use of gamification, we've seen the use of AI, we've seen the use of interactive learning. And on that note, Lindy, take the stage.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. So, student engagement simply entails active involvement, meaning that students need to participate in the process by asking questions and seeking to understand. So, we simply have gamification, meaning that it helps to identify objectives. They can determine what they want to achieve through gamification, such as increased engagement, motivation, or their learning outcomes. They can define elements by incorporating games, elements like points, badges, leaderboards, and challenges into their content or activities. Then we have interactivity, which simply means engaging learners by the use of interactive elements like quizzes, polls, simulation, and discussions to involve learners actively. We lastly have collaboration when learners engage to work together on activities such as projects, discussions, or assessment to foster interaction and share knowledge. It also provides instant feedback to guide them into understanding their progress. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindy, for that. And lastly, in conclusion, AI have changed the game of assessment in teaching and learning, providing for inclusivity. We've seen the use of screen readers to help the blind to read the screens as they learn. We've seen the use of AI in including students with different languages, applying using the natural language to also translate for students, for the accommodating students with different languages. And we've seen that also streaming individualized learning paths or personalized learning paths, where student can when it can create a different learning path and a unique learning path for an individual student with different learning abilities. And yeah, and the use of games, it not only reduces boredom, but students are working excitingly and they don't even think of they are learning. You know, it removes the element of how punitive learning can be when you apply and use games in the classroom. And that concludes our lesson on assessment in higher education. And thank you guys for participating and watching. Thank you for being here. You've been a wonderful audience, those who have joined us on YouTube. Thank you very much, my classmates, my group mates.